So it's good to see you again. All
Great
right.
to see you.
Thank you. So it's been a pretty eventful year. Everything from running around and doing a bunch of different projects for you, and so tell me what's going on with you these days.
Um, you get to a point where you realize,
You said the olives
we're
and what for an appetizer?
Olives and the Frank's meatballs.
Oh yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have known that. I
No, it's
heard
okay.
that.
Is this
I
what
got
happens
that.
when you do a show like this and you're eating?
Yeah. Well, my entire life, I've obviously been committed to, I'm sure you've heard this before from people, but as an artist, it's always been a search to find out more about who you are. For me, it's that kind of, if you want to call it spiritual search, trying to work through all of the issues and blocks and stuff that you have. And as a child, I had a lot of insecurities, a lot of fear issues that came from some experiences I had in youth, and so I was searching for a way out of the box, and as I've talked about many times, that led me through a search through every religion, every philosophy, every healing modality, every form of therapy, psychology, Reichian, Gestalt, Freudian, call it what you will, ultimately leading me to an acting class because somebody I had gotten to know quite well recommended I go to this acting class.
Sure.
And I'd always thought actors were these amazing, magical people, as most of us do when we're growing up.
Is it fair to say that actors have like a lot of these sensibilities and sensitivities and find themselves searching for a lot more than
I
just...
think people are drawn to acting for a million reasons. Today is a little different than before, but I think that artists are always on a search. They're outside the box. They're not following a traditional life, getting a 24/7 job, getting a degree, and basically going out and establishing a life. An artist is kind of, in a sense, outside that box, trying to find his place in the world, trying to find an audience for his work, for his artistry, and always having that insecurity of never knowing if what you're doing is any good.
But it's still fulfilling though, isn't it? The search is also part of it.
Well, for me, I was wired that way from the beginning. So for me, I never looked at it or was able to critique it back then. I just basically was fascinated by how the world worked,
Right.
trying to figure out why certain things happen for certain people and certain things happen for other people, and it kind of brings up that whole thing: is life fair?
Right.
Why do some people seem to get breaks, other people don't? So all that stuff kind of wove into this fascination for the human experience. And as an actor, I have to say, studying people, being insatiably curious about what motivates people, psychology, philosophy, finding out what drives us, what moves us, what blocks us. All of that stuff kind of wove into this part of me that I think is part of my teaching, but it's also developing a character, acting, writing, directing, producing, all the things I'm doing.
Do you think
fascination is woven and flows right into what I write and what I develop? I'm not into the superficial.
Sure.
I'm not into the cliche.
Yeah.
I'm into, for me, Sean Penn said, movies are too important to be just about entertainment. They have to be entertaining, but they got to be about something. And for me, that's what every artist's search is to find out, what do I have to say to the world through whatever art form I'm involved in.
Now, do you think that a lot of young artists that are trying to get in there, or even older artists that are trying to get in for the first time, do you think that they have a misconception that people that have established themselves don't go through all these same struggles, no matter what their career may appear to be on the outside? Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that was fast.
Thank you.
Wow.
These are Frank's favorite meatballs. You know about that?
What are they?
Frank's favorite meatballs. You see them on the menu?
No,
having
I
Frank's-
mean, I've seen them, but
Frank's favorite meatballs.
I've actually eaten one of them, but what's different about them?
They're just Frank's favorite meatballs, and
Oh, okay.
that happens to be Frank sitting over there.
Oh, okay.
Frank from KTLA News. It's his favorite thing,
Oh,
so he
wow,
promotes them on the
okay.
TV show all the time.
Wow.
If you take one of the meatballs, see if he'll sign it for you.
All right.
There you go, signed meatball. Look at that. So as a young Richard Hatch, hanging out with mom, dad, or
I'm going to have that very
Yes.
famous mustache now from having my cappuccino. So
Oh yeah?
if
No,
I
that's
do,
okay.
please let me know.
No, that's okay. We'll tell you. As a young Richard Hatch, hanging out with, let's say, mom and dad, or do you have siblings also?
I do. Well, I have one brother and I have one son.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were coming up, were you fascinated by the movies at all? Were you fascinated by? Was there a local cinema or a movie house that you used to go to?
First of all, my mother was the quintessential movie fan. She had every movie magazine.
Sure.
She followed everybody. And so I kind of took a little bit of that on, and she loved going to movies. She loved going to musical shows. And since my mother was raising both me and my brother mainly alone for many, many years, we were keeping my mother company, going to all the things she went to. So I developed a love
Sure.
for all of that. And my grandmothers were piano players, so I started getting piano lessons and learning classical piano from a very early age. And then I started writing and playing the guitar, and as a young surfer going to college, I was, writing songs and performing at parties and stuff like that. So I kind of had, an artistic bent, but I never thought of it as a career.
Right.
It kind of wove itself slowly but surely into something when I attended the Eric Morris Actors Workshop and started developing this curiosity for how actors work, what
Right.
they do, what makes all that wonderful stuff happen on screen. And
What stood out to
it was
you?
Well, I realized that, it wasn't about play acting, although that certainly might have an aspect to acting experience, but it had more to do with really, like Stanislavski said, Stanislavski, the method is a method for life. It's not just a method for acting, it's a method for connecting deeper to your talents,
Right.
to who you are, getting more grounded, more centered, more in that place where you're able to use all your assets, to be able to open up and express fully the full range of emotions, where you're able to let your energy flow without inhibiting or holding it back. That way, you're like a gymnast who's developed all their muscles, elasticity, fluidity, all that stuff, so that whatever is given to them from a choreographer, they can do, right? Because their body's trained. Well, it was kind of training my instrument, me, so I could do anything, go anywhere, create anything, and then you start learning how to build a bridge from you, utilizing all of this stuff, life experience, imagination, creativity, and how to channel it into creating characters, right?
Do you find that there's a difference between stage and? Thank you very much.
He's a great olive.
Do you find that there's a difference for you between stage and film acting?
Well, I've done a lot of stage, and everything we did was not about training for movies or training for stage. It was learning the craft of acting. What I learned is that when you work on a stage, the only difference between a stage and movies is not process. It's developing your instrument so that you're able to, if you want to call it, utilize your energy, your physicality, who you are, be able to take that organic truth that you find in the character, that moment-to-moment experiencing of the character in a certain life circumstance that you've created, that you're able to project that powerfully to the back of the room. And what I learned was it wasn't about overacting. You can literally be intimate on the stage and project to the back of the room. Some people think of stage acting as being this kind of what we call overacting. Most actors today call it overacting. A great actor can work both stage and in front of the camera.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I took your class a couple of years ago, and one of the things that you helped me do in your class was to bring it down some. I'd been doing about 10 years worth of stage acting, and I came into your class and you sat literally directly in front of me, right at the base of the stage at the playhouse that will be, and you said, Sean, come here, look at me and get right into my face and say those lines again. And I remember that okay, that's good, now bring it down a little. Okay, now bring it, and you had me do it again and again, and of course, all the insecurities start to come in, but the more I looked into your eyes, the more I realized you were trying to trust me. Thank you very much. That you were working with me, and you weren't trying to work against me, and I thought that was really wonderful.
Well,
You brought me right to where I was much more understated, but getting the point across just as well.
see, I don't make actors do my process or any process.
Sure.
I want to help that actor find your own unique way of connecting to material,
Yeah.
connecting to the characters you play, and how to be more in the moment so that you're not getting preconceived ideas,
Sure.
how to say the lines, how to act the emotion, because then it becomes very predictable,
Yeah.
very cliche.
Yeah.
I don't care what your process is, it has to lead you to a deeper connection, a more organic, intuitive connection
Yes.
to the character, so that when you step into the reality you've created, the premise,
Yeah.
then you're letting yourself experience moment to moment the truth of these relationships that you're in and the circumstances you're in, not knowing how the lines are going to come out, but letting them flow out in whatever organic, honest way they want to come out, right? Through the lens of the character you're playing. And the trouble with a lot of actors is that they learn how to do a lot of acting. They act, even if they feel the emotion on some level, they act it. They act it because they're more comfortable acting it as opposed to just allowing it to be wherever it is, because actors' insecurity
Yeah.
always feels like more is more.
Sure.
And the trouble is, if you really learn how to connect, less is more.
Well, you did a good job with
Yeah.
that because you took me away from worrying about the room, and I was really, truly, after a couple of moments, I trusted you and knew that I was speaking to you, which honestly on stage really is the best thing, to listen as well as to do your thing.
Well, I'm actually going to talk about that today, because it is I speak in the first part of the class. I kind of do a little mini lecture before we get into stuff. But in terms of, I'm going to kind of embellish what you were saying about the projection thing. See, when I work with actors, I say, okay, if your intention is to reach you, I don't need to yell to reach you, unless I'm pissed and angry, but
Sure.
I'm going to communicate differently when I'm right next to your face
Sure.
than when I'm back here, right?
Yeah.
My intention is to communicate. My body, my instrument, will take that energy, take physicality, take whatever is necessary to reach you. So if I, as an actor on a stage, have an intention, I am going to share, and this, by the way, goes into the camera experience as well. I always tell people, beyond everything you're doing, when you're on stage in front of a camera, there has to be this other part of you that goes, I'm sharing this experience with the camera. So I'm letting the camera in to what I'm feeling, to what the character is going through. I'm not hiding from the camera. I'm not pretending it's not there. I'm embracing it, including it, which allows you to have this intimate relationship with the camera, where people always say, oh, the camera loves you. Well, the camera doesn't love you. It doesn't love you if you don't love the camera.
Sure.
The thing with the audience,
You
same
have to feel
thing.
like you know where you are, yet at the same time you're not trying to worry too
Your
much.
body language, if you are hiding, some part of you is insecure and feel uncomfortable with the camera, you tilt, you shift ever so slightly away from camera, away from the light, because you're energetically hiding.
So it's almost subliminal.
It's subliminal, and yet it has a physical, tangible result on the camera. That's why the camera.
Fresh pepper?
Yes.
People will actually see it without even necessarily
I'm telling
seeing
you,
it. Right.
they'll look at somebody and go, oh man, the camera.
Would you like
That
some pepper?
person,
Please.
they can tell that the camera really loves that actor because the way they bring characters to life. If you're energetically high, it's no different than if you come into a meeting and you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So part of you, if you tend to hide to protect, energetically your body language steps into a closed position.
Sure, your shoulders close up.
And I'm telling you, ever so slightly, it makes all the difference in the world, because those slight little adjustments magnify out to the people that are experiencing you, and you come across weak, you come across as insecure, you come across as, and then what happens to somebody like that? They either just kind of what I call underperform or they overperform. When you're insecure and you're not comfortable just embracing where you are, you tend to act out, and now you got to show somebody how smart you are, how funny you are, how talented you are, and there are those people that are always on overdoing it, and then you have the people who kind of disappear. So people, when you're insecure, you've got to learn how to embrace that part of yourself and make peace with that part of yourself, and then start to come from a more grounded, more centered place, where you begin to focus your energy, your intention in a more positive, constructive way that builds bridges between you and somebody else. But it also starts to build real self-esteem because you're not denying and blocking you. You're actually embracing you. Now these are all kind of philosophical things, but they actually have a tangible, very pragmatic effect in the world. But I want to answer the one thing with the audience. When you're embracing the audience and you're not hiding from the audience, my intention is to reach the last person in the last row. My energy, even if I walk away, I'm always going to be operating to let the audience into my experience. I'm never going to stand with my back to the audience for longer than a second. I am never with my voice and energy, even if I'm talking to somebody in a whisper. My intention is to reach the back of the audience, and that whisper will have a focus and intention that will project to the back of the audience.
That's true.
So it still comes from an organic, real place and not an overacting place. But most actors don't understand that. And most actors don't feel comfortable with any kind of deeper process because they don't want to deal with their stuff. Part of acting for them is a way of hiding from themselves.
Sure.
And so they move into the
That's a
acting
really
thing.
interesting point.
And let me tell you, acting is fun. It's fun to overact. Go into a children's play and get to overact. It's the most fun thing in the world. But I got to tell you, the most life-changing experience is when you really learn how to connect deeper to you and then to the characters you play.
The material,
And then you have this life-transforming experience that starts to affect everything else in your life. That's why I deal in my class.
So what are you having right now?
Oh, this is quinoa, which is a very, very healthy grain.
Nice.
And then I have eggs over hard. I didn't eat eggs very much, but eggs are actually very healthy for you.
And this is one of your favorite restaurants.
And
Tell me about
Vitello's is a very famous restaurant because, as you can see, it used to be all enclosed.
Sure.
It was one of those restaurants where that Dean Martin,
Sure.
Frank Sinatra would come to.
Yeah.
It was closed. It was very in-family. It was a very well-known restaurant. I actually came here before they changed it. Robert Blake was obviously used to come here, and apparently, they claimed he killed his wife out in the parking lot here. So anyway, they've changed the restaurant around. It's the same people that own it, but they've kind of opened it up more, made it more contemporary, and but it's still a dinner. It's still dinner club, and I was going to say to you, this is a place you could come perform. I mean, they have tons of music here.
Wow.
They have all kinds of different
Like to listen to me maybe clear my throat?
They have so many different things going on here every night up in the showroom. They've got every kind of, have jazz, rock and roll, blues.
And you come and enjoy it
Frank
yourself.
Stallone's brother comes in here, Frank Stallone, comes and performs here. Barry McCreary, the composer for the Battlestar music, Eureka, Outlander, he comes here and performs with his wife, Rhea. They put on their whole show. I've seen so many wonderful comedy acts here, and then they have nights when they sing all the Broadway things. And then one of my favorite guys is a composer, pianist. There's a piano over there, and he usually plays during lunch and dinner. And so it's just a great place, great bar, great place to hang out, and it's right opposite the theater I'm in. So we come over here after class.
Oh, terrific.
We always go to Aroma, or I go here because I get away from all the crowds.
So we might be back here in a little while.
So we come back here after class.
That's great. That's great. Okay, on that note, go ahead and dig in, and I will do this without sound.